End of the day, Doge is going to help there. Pete Hegseth has welcomed Doge to come into the military. We have to start in the Pentagon. We need to make a Trigon, 3 sides instead of 5 sides in the Pentagon.
A triangle. Right. He wanted to say triangle. So that was Senator Tommy Tuberville, who, look, it sucks that he said Trigon because he's making a good point about the military, the waste, the fraud, the abuse. Like, that's a good point, okay. But it's a triangle.
Okay, so I love this one. Our poll in the live chat, watch the show 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern every day, live. Should we rename Triangle to Trigon? I kind of like it. I'm thinking of voting yes. Okay, so it's 50-50 right now. A lot of votes coming in. Trigon sounds kind of badass. And if we try enough, maybe Tommy Tuberville will be gone. Okay, and by the way, I mean, he's like out of a movie. If you're gonna name the dumbest person in Congress a name, you'd probably name him Tommy Tuberville. I mean, it's hilarious.
Tommy Tuberville is a dopey sounding name.
Tuberville, and then it's like,
you're a grown man. You can't be called Tommy.
Look, Tommy.
You can't be Tommy Tuberville. You got to change it to Tom, Thomas, but it can't be Tommy.
Thomas Tuberville. See, you're changing words. Now we're changing your name. See how you like it.
Yeah, okay. I think that would be called alliteration, as Bush would say. Anyway, but no, look, he did make some good points.
Oh yeah, and by the way, there's real points here that are super interesting and a giant piece of hypocrisy we're gonna get to.
Okay.
But let's do it.
So let's start with Igor Bobik, who says, Tuberville says he's all for cuts at the Pentagon, including downsizing staff. Quote, I wouldn't be against them taking it from a Pentagon to a Trigon, cut a couple sides off it.
Let's get to the Pentagon though, because actually slicing off parts of the Pentagon would be terrific if that's actually what they were doing.
All right, so let's go to the next video.
Now, Senator, will the Defense Department budget be cut? Because we're going to get to this, but I interviewed Secretary Hegseth. He has some, he has some goals in that arena. But will that happen? That's $850 billion, and we know there's a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse inside the Pentagon spending craziness.
Yeah, because we hadn't had a decent audit of any of the money spent in years and years and years. But end of the day, Doge is going to help there. Pete Hegseth has welcomed Doge to come into the military. We have to start in the Pentagon. We need to make a Trigon, 3 sides instead of 5 sides in the Pentagon. It is way too big, way overbloated. They have what, 30, 40,000 people in the Pentagon, then 100,000 people across the street in Arlington that are making tons of money. We have to cut back and do it for the warfighter.
Okay, so is there truth to what he's saying? Well, the Government Accountability Office found that there are some 700,000 full-time civilian employees at the Pentagon. The Defense Department remains the largest employer in the United States with a combined military and civilian workforce of over 2.8 million. It has an annual budget of well over $800 billion. So look, I know people have been throwing around like civilian workforce, like left and right, as if those workers don't matter at all. A lot of them still matter and do important jobs. So I don't want people to think that just because they're described as, full-time civilian employees, they're useless and they shouldn't be there. You have to do an analysis. You have to determine whether or not people are necessary in these roles. And I guess I'm a little bit triggered with the, picking at the civilian workforce within these government agencies, because Karen Bass in Los Angeles cut the fire budget by $17 million. And it was the operational budget. She increased the budget for salaries and pay, but that's a different pot of money. She cut the operational budget by 17 million. And what did they do? The first thing they do is they fire a bunch of civilian workers within the fire department. Well, guess what? There are 75 fire trucks that are out of commission because they don't have the civilian, workers to fix the fire trucks.
Yeah, so look, can you cut the Pentagon? Of course course, they haven't passed an audit or an audit or whatever he called it in 7 years. So and some years they say we don't know where half the money is. Half the money is $400 billion.
No biggie.
So now, are they actually going to do that? No, it's all marketing. So guys, we've been over this a couple times. I did a tweet to Elon saying, "Hey, put me in, coach. I'll cut $400 billion from the Pentagon." He said, "Oh, okay, give me suggestions." He gave suggestions. Donald Trump Jr. said, "Yeah, we're thinking about it, etc." Now, a lot of people think that. Oh, I'm so naive, and I thought, oh, since Elon and Don Jr. responded, I'm sure they're going to cut $400 billion from the Pentagon. I'm sure they're going to do it tomorrow. No, guys, of course, you get them on the record, and then you see whether they did it or they didn't. And the fact that tons of right-wingers agreed, and that's why they agreed. It's not like I don't think they came in with that idea. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
No, they really want you to like them.
Yeah,
so
like
they really care about what you think, which is why.
No, they responded because MAGA was like, yeah, caught the Pentagon, right? So what actually happened, now we know. So they're on the record. And so Hegseth first said, yeah, we're gonna cut about 50 billion a year for 5 years, okay, good. And then he said, kidding, we're not cutting it. We're actually reallocating it to a different department. We'll see if Elon Musk and Peter Thiel's companies get the reallocation, but that's a different story. But bottom line is, no, not cutting a dollar, just reallocating. And then they just did the budget this week. Not only are they not cutting, they added an extra $100 billion to the Pentagon. So where's the cuts? So now, again, I haven't seen anyone in MAGA defend adding $100 billion to the Pentagon. So now they're like, wait, we thought we were cutting it. What happened?
They're not going to cut the Pentagon.
Of course, look,
they're not
guys.
going to cut the Pentagon.
Of course, of
Like,
course.
Yeah.
But that's the whole point, guys, is that they said they would, and now their MAGA actually saw it with their own eyes. And even more important than MAGA, the independents that voted for Trump saw it with their own eyes. And now they see them adding to it. I'm telling you, I said in the beginning of the show in a different story, Trump, in his first term, got away with everything with his own base because there was only one news source predominantly, and that was Fox News. As long as Fox News lied for him, he was good, and you couldn't get real information to them. Now they're getting information from a ton of different places. So if you try to bottle up and pretend they cut the Pentagon when they actually added $100 billion, you're gonna get caught. So they're in the middle of getting caught now. So they're still doing the propaganda on Fox News. Oh yeah, we're gonna bring it down to a Trigon. No, using his way of talking, I guess, we're now going to a hectagon because they are adding more sides to the Pentagon. So stop, but they won't, and they'll be exposed. And so then, by the way, if you're in Alabama and Tommy Tuberville is your senator, sorry, first of all, but second of all, you should ask me. You said on TV that you wanted to cut down to a Trigon, okay? And we tried, and now all the money's gone.
Yeah.
So what happened, Tommy? What happened, Laura? What happened, Elon? What happened, Don? What happened, Hegseth? You guys said you were gonna cut, and you did the exact opposite.
What's worse, a gray-haired man who goes by Tommy, or someone who has two first names for their first name, Mark Wayne?
Oh yeah, Mark Wayne.
Mark
definitely.
Wayne.
Yeah.
Mark Wayne. I will allow Tommy. I will not allow
Tommy's
the
fine. I don't really care. My super random gripe against Tommy Tuberville is that he makes football fans look bad, because I think football is a super sophisticated, really interesting game that requires you to plan and strategize. Yeah. And then you have Tommy frickin' Tuberville, who was a relatively successful college football coach. And people go, oh, sure, sophisticated. If Tuberville can do it, anybody can. And I'm like, Tommy.
Bunch of dudes like jumping on top of each other on a field, super sophisticated.
It is. Mm-hmm. I want Tommy Tuberville to go back into coaching so I could bet against him. I didn't know he was this dumb. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.